So you can show your photos and stay out there? You have to hold them up high because...
Here are my parents, Kazuto and Kimiko Taketa.
Yeah. And where are they there?
This was taken in Hanapepe, Kauai. And my entire family, my sisters and my brothers and my father's brother, they were all there to celebrate their wedding anniversary. Okay? And then, you would like to see some other pictures taken at my, let's see, again, this is another year when they celebrate another anniversary.
Uh-huh.
This was in 1986, December 27th. So that was in also celebrating his birthday, my father's
birthday, and those are all your siblings?
Yeah, it was all my sisters and brothers. Yes, they were all there, all 6 of us. Yes, my oldest sister, Sonoy, Anne is here. I'm the youngest here, and my oldest brother, Charlie Fumito Ikuto, who's still living in Honolulu, and Carolyn Chie, who lives in Chicago, and May Yamashiro, and my parents. May is deceased. Chie is living in Chicago. Ikuto lives in Honolulu. Charlie was living in Wisconsin. He passed away. Let's see. This is another when my sister and Sonoy celebrated her 50th wedding anniversary in Chicago. And so I'm here, and Carolyn is here. There's another, and Ikuto, and May, and Sonoy. So all of us are here, right here. Charlie's deceased. Here's a picture of Mitz and myself.
Where are you there?
In Las Vegas. That's when
you all went to
when
Las Vegas.
Sonoy and Pete celebrated their golden wedding anniversary. So, and this is the picture when they celebrated their anniversary. And this is another picture where we all were together in Honolulu. I forgot what year it was, but all our siblings, May is Yamashiro is here, her husband Andy, and Carolyn Chie Masaru Funai, who live in Chicago, and Anne Sonoy and Peter Matsuoka live in Walnut Creek. She unfortunately passed away a year ago, and myself and my husband Mitsuru is here. So all of us are here.
So you said you'd like to do a lot of things together when you were children, and it seems like you still did a lot of things.
Yes, we got together every year.
Yeah.
But when she and I were young, growing up in Waimea, Kauai, we did a lot of things together. We played, ball and dodgeball, and we went fishing together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was fun. We picked what is called the kiawe tree had pods, and we picked them and put in bags, and we sold them. They buy those things to feed the animals. And we went, there was a pier close by where people said, I may have mentioned it before, when they say fish is biting, we get our poles and run to the harbor and pier and get our fishing pole, and we caught a lot of little fish, like it's called a coolie, and took it home and had it for dinner. And so all of us, I think all except Anne, she didn't do much fishing because she was usually in college somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you got together every year when you were adults?
Well, most of the time, she's 9 years older than I am. So by the time I was, growing up, she was gone to college.
Mm-hmm.
And then later she came back, but she went to college in Ohio and then New York, Columbia. So we didn't see too much of her. I lived with May and Andy Yamashiro while I went to college.
Yeah, we
So,
talked about that before. Yeah.
So,
Did you, when you were adults, when you had kids, did all the kids get together?
well, we had holidays when Christmas or New Year's. We got together and we would go to Honolulu and stay at May's house and have also Ikuto's family. And we had, either at Ikuto's home or at May's home. And everyone enjoyed it, including Keith. When he was young, he really enjoyed going to Hawaii.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's all. They're all similar pictures in Las Vegas and of the anniversary. I think this is the same. The four sisters are right here. So, brings back lots of fond memories.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems like there were a lot of big parties.
Yes.
Big celebrations. And so I was wondering if you could
And my parents were really happy when we celebrated their big anniversary and his 88th birthday, which is very significant for the Japanese.
Yeah.
So they were really happy when the entire family were in there to celebrate the 88th birthday.
Yeah, and what kind of traditions were a part of that celebration or other celebrations that you had with the family?
Well, we also had New Year, Christmas and New Year celebration. New Year is a time when the families get together and prepare lots of food, American and Japanese food. We ate lots of mochi.
Mm-hmm.
And my mother would make what's called ozoni, which is mochi in a soup.
Uh-huh.
We all enjoyed it. And they also had hinako. They would use a mochi and fry it a little and put sugar and this hinako and enjoyed it. It was a good snack and dessert that we really enjoyed. And to this day we enjoyed with friends. And we go to church and they have it there too, the mochi. So it brings back memories of what I did with my siblings as a youngster.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And is your church, is it mostly Japanese Americans?
what is that?
Is your church mostly Japanese Americans?
Our church, it is mostly Japanese American, but there are African Americans, there are Vietnamese, and Chinese, and others from the Philippines too.
Yeah.
They're there. So it's really a nice mix of people who are, enjoy each other's friendship
Mm-hmm.
and fellowship.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and it's nice that we take turns with refreshments. So sometimes we have a week when we have Filipino food,
Yeah.
and then we have a Thai food, and then Japanese food. Last week we had sushi and other things, and of course the children are there to enjoy the Easter egg last Sunday.
For Easter.
They had Easter egg hunt.
Were there other things that were a special part of the traditions and the parties that you had?
Well, when you think of in Hawaii, growing up in Hawaii, we had Japanese, but we had Chinese too. So we had Chinese food and Hawaiian food too. We really enjoy. When you think of Hawaiian, we have what's called lao lao, which is pork or chicken wrapped in tea leaf.
Yeah.
And then we have poi. And not many people like to eat poi, but we enjoy poi and lomi salmon, which is salmon, salted salmon.
Right.
Yes. So.
And then what about, other than food, are there like special things that you did at these parties, or other kinds of traditions?
Well, when I think of traditions, what do I say? When you think, we did also have with our Chinese friends, so we had really Chinese food along, the noodles that
Yeah.
Chinese have. So, and what's called chow mein and noodles and vegetables,
Yeah, so it was mostly the food was the most important part
Yeah.
of the parties.
So, but then, when you think with our Hawaiian friends, we also got together to sing. We sang, and they have musical instruments, the ukulele, and guitar.
Yeah.
And they did that. And they did some dancing,
Uh-huh.
which was also fun to do.
So do you think your traditions were at all influenced? Do you think you have special traditions because you grew up in Hawaii, like the Japanese Americans in Hawaii have unique kind of Hawaiian Japanese traditions?
I think it's somewhat different in Hawaii. Here we have friends here which they don't really know the Hawaiian traditions. Which is the food and the dancing.
Yeah.
Well, here on the mainland, we go to a church where they have lots of Japanese and other nationalities. Whether it's Vietnamese or people from Thailand or other places, and they also share their traditions with us too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. And then, so there are a lot of people who have come, a lot of Japanese Americans who have come to the mainland from Hawaii.
Yes.
And so do you think that there's kind of a special, like, connection or bond when you meet other Japanese Americans who grew up in Hawaii?
We enjoyed their company too, but we also met, even in our church and other places, people who grew up here in California or the Northwest,
Mm-hmm.
and they bring their own traditions or ideas
Yeah.
that they grew up with,
Yeah.
which is very good.
Yeah.
We enjoyed learning about other people's
Yeah.
heritage.
Well, I think it's interesting since you spent most of your adult life in Claremont,
Yes.
which is mostly white people,
Yes.
right? And
But
that-
also, since we lived in Illinois, the 3.5 years we lived in Champaign-Urbana, where we met other people. They
Right.
weren't Hawaiian people. There were a few, one, Alice Jones, she was at Champaign-Urbana too, and she grew up in the same hometown with my husband, with Mitz. So,
Yeah. But I think because you said you have a lot of Japanese American friends, right?
yes.
Yeah. So that's been has that been important to you in your adult life?
Yes,
Is maintaining
but
the
also,
Japanese
but
American community?
living in Claremont, we meet other people.
Yeah.
It's not just Japanese Americans.
Right.
You
So,
know.
but so do you think that that's kind of nice that you have a balance of
Yes.
having Japanese American friends
Yes,
and also
it is
meeting other
nice.
people
Yes.
of different backgrounds?
And it's nice to meet the other people.
Right.
Also, we know, like, my daughter Lynn's classmate, Terrell Jones, his father was born in the United States. His mother was born in, I think she was born in China.
Mhm.
But, they live in Claremont. And Terrell is now married to Mamiko, who is from Japan.
Uh,
So it's really interesting, how their children has grandparents who are, Caucasian American and Chinese,
Yeah.
And she is well educated. She came from China to the United States, got her education, and met, Mr. Jones.
Yeah, and all our family's now mixed too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And when you think your grandfather is, Caucasian, but your uncle's, who is that? John is married to a Japanese, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're an interesting family with many different nationalities.
Yeah. And do you think that that's just inevitable?
What?
Do you think that's inevitable, living in the U.S.?
Yes, it's good.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We all find it nice that we all get along very well with the different, mix of nationalities.
Yeah.
But it'd be nice if we learn more languages, whether it will be German or French or Italian or Chinese, Japanese.
Do you wish you'd study more languages?
Well, yes, but when you think I went to college, I learned Spanish, but I didn't use it very much. Then when I went to Illinois, I taught junior high school, and I taught math, but didn't need my other language. I just needed my English.
Yeah.
Then I went to Hawaii and taught, math and science, and taught many immigrant children who came from other countries and Philippines and did very well. One of them, I may have mentioned that his parents from the Philippines, but who is a very outstanding student and is now a urologist in Iowa.
Yeah.
So they all do very well.
Yeah. I forgot what I was going to ask. But so you had kind of quite an opportunity to travel.
Yes. Well, with Mets being at the college, we had the opportunity. The first sabbatical we went to North Carolina, and it was interesting to see what the South is like, although it was not the deep South.
Yeah.
Chapel Hill. We met many people there, and we went. My uncle was living in Washington D.C. area, so I went to see Washington D.C. and the area.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And did you experience any racism in the South, or?
No, but my daughter Lynn said when she went to school, there weren't many other children of other nationalities, and there was one black girl. Lynn was in the fifth grade, I think, but people were surprised that she was going to school, and because most of the at that time in North Carolina, the children of the black race had to go to another school. They couldn't go to the school near Chapel Hill where the other children went to. So it was very unusual but they said that since we lived in that area, Lynn was able to go to that school where everyone went to.
And did she face discrimination in school?
No, she did not, because the school was such that everyone went there.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't the black school.
Okay.
So it was very interesting going there. But it was nice because by that time, it was such that everyone was able to be in Chapel Hill and area where Duke University was also.
Yeah, and then you also had the opportunity to travel through Europe.
In Italy.
Uh-huh.
We lived in Italy, and we live in Padova, Italy. That was very nice. That people there, they say I look different, but I'm said, I'm speaking like an American. I said, are you American?
Yeah.
But, you know, they were all very nice, and the food was wonderful. The people were nice, you know, by that time. Yeah. But we were in England, you know, we rented a small apartment at first because the professor there thought we won't need any bigger place. We rented a very small studio apartment, like for students.
For the family of 4?
No, Lynn and Keith were back home. Keith were in Washington already.
Oh, okay.
But they said, it's just Mitz and myself. So the host thought all we need is this 0 bedroom, just with one bed and one small refrigerator. It was like 3 feet high. Uh-huh. And then after a while I said, how can I stay in it? And we had to have electricity in an apartment. We had to put a coin in at the top of the door as we entered. And if we didn't have enough coin, that we won't have any light, electricity. So after a while, after several weeks, we decided, no, we'll find another apartment.
Yeah.
And we were able to find a nice little house for the same amount.
Yeah.
So quick, we're able. It was a nice place to be, but
yeah. And then what about going back to Japan? How many times have you been to Japan?
Well, not too many times, but I've been to Japan. Well, the first time, I was born in Hawaii, but didn't go to Japan until my parents decided to take my sister and my brother and myself to Japan on a tour and to meet our relatives. Uh-huh. So that was very nice to meet them in Osaka. I met all my mother's sisters and cousins, my cousins. And then we had lunch at a really nice American-style Western restaurant. And it was just wonderful. And even our friends from Japan, who was at Pomona College as a visiting professor, we went to, this was another, Kyoto, and he taught at Kyoto University. And so we really enjoyed being in Kyoto during the Cherry Blossom Festival.
Oh, wow.
It's really, and Kyoto is a very beautiful city.
Yeah.
And so we really enjoyed. And the food in Japan is really very good.
Yeah.
It's very different from the Japanese food that we have here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so were there, did it make you feel more American? Did you feel like an outsider when you went to Japan?
No, not at all. You feel right at home.
Really?
Yeah, not right at home, but
yeah. And do you think that's partially because you speak Japanese?
No, I really didn't need to speak Japanese very much because like the Toshio Fujita spoke English very well, but his wife Tesco doesn't, and their children lived in Claremont for several years, and their son, of course, grew up to be a professor too, and their daughter, came to Claremont also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you think that going back to Japan gave you like a better understanding of where you came from, or?
Well, no, it doesn't make any difference because anyone can make yourself at home or learn about Japan or the city you're in. You can learn as much and read about Kyoto, walk around and see the temples and the churches.
But do you think it was exceptionally special for you since you come from a Japanese family?
Not necessarily, no.
So for you it was kind of the same if you were just an American visiting Japan? Well,
not quite, not like any other American, but it made me feel, that I'm there to see what beauty or what I can learn from the temples or, this there, and to enjoy the beautiful scenery there.
Yeah. And what was it like to meet your cousins and everything for the first time?
Oh, that was nice, but of course I didn't spend too much time because I spent just a day here and there. But it was nice. And one of my cousins, he was there in Hiroshima, and later he moved to Tokyo. And he's married in Tokyo. So we saw him there in Tokyo also. And they came to Hawaii for one of my parents' anniversary, where, his parents and Hawaiian came to Hawaii and went to Honolulu and to Kauai to see how Hawaii is, because that was their first trip to Hawaii.
Oh, yeah.
So that was nice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they really enjoyed it. We took them to the Little Grand Canyon, Waimea, on Kauai. So they enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm sure they did.
And it was really nice. It's I think everyone should be able to visit Japan.
Yeah.
Because it is very different from the United States.
Right.
To see just the people there, living there, and the scenery, the environment, and the people living there is very different than the Japanese living in the United States.
Yeah. Did it change the way you lived at all, or not really?
Not at all. No, we're still the same. We went there, enjoyed Japan as it is, and then came back and continued our life here in Claremont. Hawaii is different than California. Yeah, very different. But it's nice that since I had a fairly large family, we keep in contact with each other, because my parents told us how family is very important.
Yeah.
So we do not forget the parents and our sisters and brothers.
Yeah. And do you think, was that the biggest thing that was passed down from your parents and in your family, was the value of family?
Yes, that's what my father told us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other things did he?
Because when you think here in the United States, there are many families do not talk to each other. They don't get along. There are divorces.
Yeah.
But my father felt that family is very important.
Yeah. Did he have any other things that he thought were really important that he tried to pass down?
No. Family and education. He stressed that education is second most important.
Yeah.
By first keeping your family together, and then education.
Yeah.
He stressed that. So even when he was away during the 4 years, he felt that do not forget that your family comes first, and study hard.
Yeah.
And do your best, get your education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you a little bit more about kind of the World War II times and what that was like.
When he left?
Yeah.
Well, it was a little quite difficult. My mother especially, she felt, in later years she said, she was alone, because my older sisters were gone. My sister May worked at the bank, and helped out. And then my brother went into the army after he graduated high school and started college. And then my next brother went to college. But, you know, we still stayed together, saying that, well, we will not forget, you know, what we learned, the value of family from my father and mother, you know.
Yeah. And do you think that your experience was different since you were in Hawaii versus the mainland during that time?
Well, it may be different, but I think all of the Japanese people feel the same, how I would think they should think the same, that the family is important.
Yeah, but
Well,
do you think it's
they had
different?
difficult time here in the U.S. too, although my family, my father was brought from Hawaii to New Mexico, but here in the U.S., many of them went to camp
Right.
from to one place to the other. You
Yeah,
know.
so a lot of kids went to camp too.
Yes, many of them.
Yeah.
Many of them were only babies
Yeah.
or 3 or 4 or 5 years old. Some of them don't really remember too much about it.
Yeah.
But
But was that a scary time for you as because you were a kid, or were you scared that you were going to get sent away?
no, somehow we did not feel it. I had friends around me, but you know, my mother still said she felt it was a difficult time for her
Right.
with her husband gone.
Yeah.
All that almost 4 years that he was gone.
But and then also with all of the anti-Japanese stuff in the media.
In the
Did-
media, but
Did
it
that-
wasn't too bad in Hawaii,
Okay.
you know. But some people still felt that, well, you're Japs,
Yeah.
you know. But for myself, being as young as, you know, in the 4th grade, people, our friends, you know, around us, didn't think, even my father's gone, my friends' fathers were still there, but they were still friends, you know.
Yeah.
They were not Japanese. I had Portuguese and Filipino and Chinese friends. We're all still friends, so.
Yeah, but do you think since the Japanese were in the majority in Hawaii, that so do you think that the war times, like, you still maintain a strong American identity during those times?
We did, and my father felt that, you know, like he was giving a choice to go back to Japan, but he said no. You know, his family is in Hawaii. He wants to stay in Hawaii, and he later became an American citizen.
Yeah.
So, no,
Yeah.
he didn't want to go back to Japan.
Mhm.
So, many of the people in Hawaii felt, oh, they were very upset
Yeah.
that Japan was bombed Hawaii. You know.
But did it kind of like hurt your Japanese American identity when in the media there were all these things that
No.
were saying that
Mm-mm.
Japanese Americans aren't American and
No, we still felt we are Americans. You know,
yeah.
we didn't feel that we're not. We didn't say we're Japanese. We're American
Yeah.
of Japanese ancestry.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
it wasn't difficult at all for us.
It wasn't
No,
difficult. No.
no, not for me.
Yeah.
People were still my friends. All my friends were
Yeah.
still.
Yeah. And do you think that maybe was it different for you since you were so young, since you were a child?
No, I think most of them still they didn't think it was any different for whether my father was in camp, their father was not in camp.
Yeah.
They're still my friends.
Yeah. But do you think that kind of the effects of the war, or like the scariness, or like that type of thing, was affected you less because you had kind of like a childlike
No, it did not.
perspective?
No, not me. It didn't. I don't know with my sister, who's older than I am, how it, impacted and
Yeah.
made her feel.
Yeah.
But-
And then your older brother was fighting in World War II?
Well, he got in, near the end, because he did not go to Italy, where my brother-in-law went to Italy. He was with the 442 in Italy. And I'm sure my sister May's husband went to Italy.
Yeah.
And whereas my brother went in later, and he went to Japanese interpreter school, where he improved his Japanese, so he was able to go to Japan to be an interpreter.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the war?
Yeah. He was in near the end of the war, so.
Yeah.
So just as my husband, Mitz's cousins did the same thing. They were better in Japanese language, and they were interpreters. They went to Japan to help at the end of the war.
Yeah.
So it was when even my brother went, was after the atom bomb was dropped in Japan. So it was a difficult period for all of our relatives in Hiroshima.
Yeah. And were some of your relatives were affected by the bomb?
Well, one of my cousins died.
Oh, really?
After that, yeah. And I think one of my cousins became a nun right after the war ended, I think, because she felt that by being a nun, she could work closer with some of the people.
Yeah.
So, and what else?
So how did that feel to have know that the U.S. dropped a bomb on your relatives?
Well, no, I didn't feel. We all felt that we're glad that the war is over by the U.S. dropping the bomb. If not, it could have killed more people in Japan.
Yeah.
That ended the war.
Yeah.
By the U.S. dropping the bomb.
And so that even though it was kind of it was a much broader political and military move, dropping the bomb, did that have any personal ramifications for the relationships between your family transnationally?
No, not at all.
Not at all?
No. We still felt, being in Hawaii, we're American citizens.
Yeah, but do you think it affected, for example, your mother's relationship with her siblings? Or
no, not at all. No. And even, of course, this later, but my father and my mother, my father, in spite of being intern in Santa Fe, New Mexico, he became an American citizen. When they were allowed to become American citizens, he became an American citizen. My mother became an American citizen.
Right.
So they felt that they were happy that they were in Hawaii on American soil.
Yeah.
Rather than to be in Japan.
Yeah.
So that's it. So we were brought up by my father and mother, who really brought us up well and taught us that we are American citizens and we are to seek the best education we can get.
Yeah. And then I wanted to ask you a little bit about kind of some of your good memories, from different parts of your life. So if we wanted to talk about kind of your happiest memories from your childhood, and then being a teenager, and being in college, and being an adult.
Being a child in Hawaii in as a little girl with my sister playing in Yamane camp. But it was a fun year, when we played hopscotch and then went fishing and went to school every day. We did later, my father and a friend started a Japanese school so we can take Japanese in the after school.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then, what I was going to say. And then during our college years, I stayed with my sister, enjoyed being, my sister May and Andy were wonderful being there for me. And then we went to Illinois, and people were just wonderful in Illinois. And I was teaching there, and they said, "Wow, how was it in Hawaii? Did you wear your hula skirts and all that?" But it was enjoyable teaching junior high math in Philo, Illinois, just outside of Champaign-Urbana.
Mm-hmm.
And parking our car outside our apartment and scraping the snow off in the morning and driving off to school about 2 days a week. I had a carpool with 2 other ladies.
When people asked about the hula skirts and stuff, was that, so you saw it like kind of as just funny and that they were being
they
fun?
didn't
They
really
just didn't
know.
any better?
They thought we did actually wear hula skirts.
Yeah.
No, I said we just dressed like everyone else in Illinois.
Yeah. And then I know last time, and this sounds really specific, but we talked about when you, oh, never mind. So do you think that kind of, oh, the lights went off.
Here it's on.
Do you think the kind of attitude of kind of giving people the benefit of the doubt and thinking that their intentions are kind, has that helped you?
Well, yes, because when we lived in Illinois, we lived in North Carolina, we lived in Padova, Italy, and people thought, well, when they knew that we're American, you can shop anywhere, and then we lived, and so we saw Padova and Rome and Florence, and people didn't think us any different. We were well accepted.
Yeah.
I could go to the butcher shop in Padova and say, I want 1/4 pound of this meat or salami.
Uh-huh.
I say, un etto, whatever. I can't speak my Italian anymore. But it was wonderful. And living in England was wonderful too. Cambridge, England,
Yeah.
where people came from all over the U.S. and the world
Yeah.
in Cambridge, England.
And do you think that Grandpa being a professor kind of gave you a different kind of life than you would have had otherwise?
It was wonderful, yes. We were able to travel, as I said, to Padova, Italy, and Florence, and other parts. And we went to Spain, Lisbon, Porto, and because he was a professor.
Yeah.
We had a lot of advantages, and he went to a lot of international conferences. That's where we went to Porto and Lisbon, and we rode the trains to Porto, Lisbon, and then settled in Padova, Italy.
Yeah.
And then going from Italy to Cambridge, England. Cambridge, England is a wonderful place with the Cam River
Right.
flowing all around it, and people from all over the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of them with little children, babies. It was wonderful living in Cambridge. I recommend going to Cambridge and Oxford, England.
Yeah.
And then we were able to drive to Edinburgh, England, Scotland.
Yeah.
So all that we did.
Yeah.
So
and do you think him being a professor gave you a lot of connections with people? Also
yes,
all around the
he
world?
certainly. He met. He may have mentioned he met a man named Arne Williams in Washington D.C. who worked in the I don't know with National Science Foundation, and he encouraged my husband Mitz to apply for a lot of these fellowships. So we had, National Science Foundation, Fulbrights, and we were able to go to this. In England, they have this Fulbright scholars, and we were at the banqueting hall in London, where we were formally introduced, and for a dinner. We were really surprised how they introduced everyone and said, Professor and Mrs. Kubota. Like, we were very important people. Yeah. So we really enjoyed meeting people from all over.
Yeah.
So the most interesting was the ones that we met in Padova, Italy, and the Bordignons and Florence, Italy.
Yeah. So it seems when you talk about travel, it sounds so natural, but you spent most of your childhood just in Hawaii, which is kind of small. So I was wondering, how do you made that transition from enjoying kind of a small community and going fishing and all those things from your childhood, and then you became so brave to kind of go anywhere.
That's right. It is a surprise.
Were you ever
from
scared?
a shy child? I was the youngest and the shyest child in a family, and then I went from one place to the other, from going to Illinois, where he got his doctorate degree, and then he got a fellowship to go to all these places. He went to other countries for conferences, which I did not go with him, Poland and Yugoslavia and some other countries that I did not go with him. But I enjoyed to go to conferences when we went to Portugal and Cambridge.
Yeah.
So I was really fortunate and lucky to have him as a professor at a small college in Claremont.
Yeah.
But Harriman is well known today.
Yeah. The first time that you went on one of those big trips, were you nervous?
No, I was not nervous, but sometimes riding on a train in Italy was a little frightening because you didn't know whether you'd be robbed or...
Yeah.
But that's the only thing.
Yeah.
The other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Mm-hmm.
Many people said they're afraid of being robbed.
Yeah.
No.
But every time you just but were you scared of making friends in a new place or settling down or getting accustomed to
People
the
were
lifestyle?
very accepting and friendly.
Yeah.
Everywhere we went.
So every time you kind of just got on the plane and...
When you think, we look different, but they were very good.
Yeah.
And some of our friends, the professor from Florence, they came to Caltech and visited us here in Claremont. And Isabella and Milo Bordignon, they came to Claremont. We had dinner together. And so... And only the Brian professor in Cambridge, he hasn't visited us at all. But I recommend traveling, going to Italy or Portugal or France or England or anywhere else. Denmark. Oh, Denmark, we did travel on our own.
Yeah.
So it's wonderful.
Yeah.
Being a professor's wife is really great.
Yeah.
It's a great experience that he may have mentioned that maybe he was fortunate and lucky with his research and the contacts. It's nice that you meet all these special people who take you under their wings.
Yeah.
There's a song, Wind Beneath My Wings. So maybe you will, Emily, someday be a professor and be able to meet people and travel.
Yeah, I hope so.
It's the people that you meet that is very important.
Yeah, that's true. Let me look and see.
Okay.
Off. You want to be done?
Yeah.
Okay, we can be done. Thanks, Grandma.
Yeah.